He's the best player on our team, one of the best players in the entire NBA. You have somebody on that roster being an MVP candidate for the majority of the year, and then they just aren't available. It's detrimental to a team like ours. He's our best facilitator, one of our best playmakers, has improved on the defensive end, one of our best clutch performers. I mean, you name it. Just Luka leads almost every single statistical category for the Mavericks this season, and you just kind of look at it like, well, how are we supposed to replicate that? How are we supposed to, replace that in any way? And you just have to look at it and say, you know what? Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavericks, made a decision to trade Kristaps Porzingis, and he had enough faith to say Spencer Dinwiddie can carry this team. He had enough faith in Jalen Brunson to, lead this team when Luka was off the floor. We've had what's the word I'm looking for? We've had the better performance of recent years from Dorian Finney-Smith to be able to knock down good shots. Reggie Bullock has been playing absolutely incredible in the second half of the season. So, I mean, we have playmakers. We have people that can shoot. We have people that can score. It's just a matter of can they do it at a consistent clip like Luka Doncic did. I am worried about the calf strain. I'm not going to lie. Kevin Durant's calf strain a couple years back has me petrified of just hearing that terminology because we all know what happened with KD. And I don't want Luka to risk his career for the postseason, man. I'm not saying that we're not going to win or that we don't have the potential to do some damage in the playoffs, but when you talk about a calf strain at this level, this late in the year, I don't want anything to be forced to where something like what happened to KD ends up happening to Luka. I am going to hold Jason Kidd accountable for the situation that Luka is currently in my professional opinion and my personal opinion as well as a fan. I didn't think it was necessary to play him in that final game. Granted, I know it was for seeding purposes to try to compete for the third seed in the Western Conference playoffs, but third versus fourth, it's not like, you were to jump 2 or 3 spots. It's not like it would have gave you the home court advantage for the full season. We already had a solidified we weren't going to be lower than a fourth. We had home court no matter what happened in the first round of the playoffs. I thought that him staying in the game as long as he did was unnecessary. I thought that him playing in the game was unnecessary. Luka now pays the consequence with this calf strain. So in terms of overall how it's going to affect the team, I think it's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be big. I think his presence is going to be missed immediately just because of everything he provides this team from a scoring and leadership standpoint. And I am a little bit nervous as to how it's going to affect our depth because people are going to have to get a little bit more burn than they've been getting all season. Trey Burke's going to play a little bit more. Frank Ntilikina is going to play a little bit more. Jalen Brunson's going to have a lot of pressure on him, and as well as Spencer Dinwiddie. So we're just going to have to see how this team combats the adversity, and we're going to have to see if Luka ends up missing more than just one game. And if he does, I would say that Dallas needs to panic because those first 2 games at home, if we end up falling to one or two of them, Utah's going back, and Luka's going to be probably limited with that injury. And I know that Luka's been injured in the playoffs before, but when you're talking about a calf as opposed to an ankle, there's a lot more ligament damage. I feel like that could end up contributing to lingering injuries down the path of the playoffs if we were to make it out. So this is going to be huge for me. Luka's injury is going to be absolutely incredible and critical to watch, or not incredible. It's going to be critical to watch, and I'm nervous as a Mavericks fan for sure.
Well, Kevin, I mean, I'm in agreement with you about the panic factor when it comes to the Mavericks at this point, simply just because you know the Mavericks have been a really consistent team from beginning to end this season, but it's largely been predicated on the success of Luka Doncic. Granted, I think adding Spencer Dinwiddie has been a valuable add so far, and he's proved to be a very solid piece for Dallas after making that trade with Kristaps Porzingis going to the Wizards. And the way that I see it is that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have to kind of take the leadership role here for the Mavericks until Luka comes back. Because the one thing that I like about Spencer is that, Spencer has gone through his own injury issues in the past, but he's never let that deter him from the spotlight. And I think this year in particular, when he got to the Mavericks, granted, I know Kevin initially criticized the trade that sent Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans to the Mavs, but really Dinwiddie has stepped up and been a valuable piece for this team to go alongside Luka Doncic. And I do think that until Luka Doncic gets back, I do think that Spencer Dinwiddie could handle the pressure of being the focal piece of this team moving forward until Luka gets back from his calf issue. Now, even when Luka gets back from his calf issue, I still think that there are going to be issues with the Mavericks against the Jazz in the series because Kevin, it's like you said, we don't know whether or not that Luka's going to be fully 100% when he gets back into the court. More than likely, he's probably going to be around 85, maybe 90%. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Luka deal with some sort of limp when he gets back based on this injury that he's dealing with. And Kevin, it's like you said, there's always that fear. Are they going to rush him back just to get him into the playoff series and to get them onto the second round of the playoffs? And we've seen in the past where guys weren't necessarily ready to go, like Kevin Durant, for example, even though that they thought that they were ready, their body said otherwise, and they had to pay the price for it. And it's unfortunate because, in Kevin Durant's case, you snap an Achilles in the NBA Finals, and I mean, that's pretty much it. Not only was the finals over for him at that point, but it pretty much will wipe out most of a season, if not an entire season after that. And hopefully for Luka, Luka's done enough to rehab this calf to where you don't have to worry about potentially tearing an Achilles because that would just be absolutely dreadful for the Mavericks, not just for this playoff run, but going into next season as well. That would be a nightmare scenario for them moving forward. And I do think that right now, with the way that I see it, I do think that the Mavs are in legitimate trouble at this point because I think if you don't have Luka consistently providing you a spark going into this playoff series, I can see the Jazz rolling through this series relatively easy just because Luka, he's the main guy that they have to focus on. And if he's not even in the lineup, that makes the Jazz's job a hell of a lot easier than what they initially anticipated. Granted, they still have to go out and they still have to execute. But when you take Luka away, who's essentially the main force for the Dallas Mavericks out of the lineup because of this calf issue, the Jazz could look at this as an opportunity. They see blood in the water, and they'll go for broke in those first two road games to possibly go up 2-0 in the series. And then when you go back home for games 3 and 4 at home, that's a dream scenario if you're the Jazz if you end up in that situation. So the way that I see it, the Jazz are probably in the driver's seat at this current moment in time, just based off of the injury that Luka's dealing with. And when Luka gets back, there's no guarantee that the Mavs can be able to offset what the Jazz present them, because the Jazz could look at that as like, they see Luka's, not 100%. They can take advantage of that, not only on the offensive side of the ball, they can focus on that defensively where he has to kick it out to some other role players that the Mavs have on the roster. And they're not guaranteed knockdown shots. With Luka, that step back is dangerous, but I don't know how viable it's going to be if he's dealing with a calf issue. And it could definitely be a hindrance to what he provides Mavericks on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not going to give her a prediction about the series, but I will say that at this current moment in time, the Jazz look like that they're definitely in the driver's seat. But we have to see what happens with Luka, and it would be it'd be unfortunate to see Luka not be able to play up to his level in this series if this calf injury lingers. That's just how I see it.